How do you see this balance between the neurological, relationship-based success factors, mainly carried by women in organizations, and the very logical masculine part of AI now so forcefully invading?
Even in hiring practices, if you think about the LLMs, as they're getting a majority of their information from historical, and think of, we've been fighting for equality across so many different diverse groups for a very long time. For a very long time, we're still not there. We're not there yet, right? So that's what the LLMs have learned, is that bias. We have to reteach the LLMs to remove the bias. If you have those less of those diverse groups working in LMs, like 22% of women in AI, then you're going to even fall, the gap is going to continue, the bias is going to continue at an either greater speed.
Hi, I'm Zorina, and welcome to the Grownlearn Podcast. Beyond these conversations, I actively connect investors with high growth opportunities. Right now, I'm working on projects seeking strategic partners, like a $346 million real estate development, a revolutionary heating technology, and an AI-driven life insurance disruptor. If you're an investor, PE firm, or family office looking for scalable ventures, let's talk. Book a call at grownlearn.org to explore these opportunities. Coming back to the burning topic of AI, we haven't given up on it. Now I'm speaking to Nicole Hilgenkamp, who is a transformative powerhouse, transforming companies, and also advising on transformation with AI. We want to know today a lot of things. What's the newest thing in AI? What companies should be aware of? And what regulations, maybe not necessarily regulations, but what legal environments there are for companies in Europe, in the US, maybe other regions. I'm welcoming Nicole Hilgenkamp. Hi, Nicole.
Hello, everyone. We can't give up on it. We haven't given up on it when we can't give up on it. And so I'm happy to be here with your listeners today.
Giving up on it, I meant like we haven't spoken all there is to say about AI, because there's more and more coming all the time.
It's
impossible to cover it.
Overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. And hopefully today we can dial it down a bit so we can get some actionable insights and next steps for your listeners.
Yeah. You work both as a consultant and at a large, very diversified company. I'm just curious, we don't need to go into like sensitive details, but to what extent is a large, very diversified company adopting AI?
Absolutely. It's definitely something that is forefront on our mind. What I'm seeing large companies across the globe do is hand it over to their IT or their technology organization. And so I think it's really important for everyone, AI is for everyone. There is something that can be enhanced at your desktop or your home that you can utilize AI for. And you should start to become AI forward thinking, AI literate, etc. But what we're seeing in some of the larger corporations is it is a handover to IT. And I want listeners to understand that regardless of where they are in the organization, it does have a role to play, and really understanding what you can do at any level to utilize AI at work. Now, there definitely are in big corporations parameters around what is available for you, because a lot of companies that are large are looking at their regulation for their organization. Obviously, we don't want to put personal information into large language models. We don't want to put we don't want to put pricing. There's a lot of things that we don't want to do. So large corporations kind of need to build their own internal LLMs for that type of use case. But you should be asking the question of your leadership. You should be trying to understand what parameters that you can take advantage of at your desktop, regardless of where you sit, because it will play a role, and not even for the company, but for yourself. So as an individual contributor, you will want to continue to learn as AI develops, so that you will be prepared to move into this the job of the future. The job you do today, if you're a knowledge worker, the job you do today will change over time, and you want to evolve with how that will change. So for your personal growth and development and progression within the company.
Mm. You started this at the beginning of this explanation by saying that most companies assign this task to IT departments. And yet, indeed, there are so many risk management implications that need to be taken into account, like what everybody's allowed to share or search for, because every search term can be subject to the trademarks, patent laws, corporate secrets. All these things can leak out naturally. So as an individual employee, what freedom do you think can you allow yourself to take using these tools, unless they're specifically already specified by your risk management department or by leadership? There's not much freedom or leeway, I have the feeling, and otherwise you're taking a huge risk upon yourself to be sharing
Absolutely.
accidentally this information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely that's where understanding where the company is in the journey and what's available to you. Take full advantage and continue to experiment and play with the parameters in which they give you to do so. I know a lot of people that are doing their desktop work here and veering over here to their laptop to utilize more of a playground where they might have other LLMs that they're looking at, taking the information and bringing it back and utilizing it in their day-to-day. That's what companies need to watch for, because I'm going to tell you that as people start to get the appetite, start to get very competent in utilizing AI, and they see how easy it is, if the company does not open and keep up with AI parameters to allow us to do our best work at our desktop, I've seen people leave companies because they're not moving fast enough in AI. And they know that AI is going to be, part of how we do everything in the world, personally and professionally. And they don't want to, kind of be handcuffed back with when those large corporations are moving, rather slow in it. So they're like, I need to go to a more progressive company. Yeah, but there is a lot of people. There's less of that than there are people that are experimenting on their desktop at their work, that they even know what's available to them, that they're watching this. Maybe they had a bad experience. I see a lot of people that might kind of play with it, and if they don't know how to do good prompting, because you have to talk to AI a little bit differently than what you would have had to do in the past, then maybe they have a bad first experience and then they don't go back to it. And it is a skill that everyone has to become competent at and get better. You will get better at. And as you get better, it will then become a habit. But it's not a habit yet for people. And many people, like a majority of people in large corporations. But it's so funny that all the CEOs are saying, this is our future, but they're still really far behind in getting it throughout the entire company. Even the CEOs are not necessarily using it as their strategic partner. The CEOs are just like, here you go, IT. And you want the CEO to be, putting into, a large language model, the slides that are going to go to your boardroom and say, what are my blind spots? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful strategic partner. Yeah. If you were a CEO, why would you not leverage all of the strategic mindset of all those that came before you to help you curate what how your business can grow?
Mm-hmm. So where would you suggest they take a look in order to start implementing AI?
At every level, first look at what your corporation does, take full advantage. Then veer off personally and say, I'm going to keep abreast of what's happening in the AI world. I would suggest getting involved in one newsletter. Do not get, there's thousands of newsletters. Get one that you respect, that resonates with you, and have one come to your desktop every week, just so that you can keep up on what's happening, because when I've been talking about AI over the past just 6 months, I'm having to have different conversations from, let's talk about Gen AI. And now all of my discussions are around agents and what is the agent going to do? How is leadership going to manage humans and machine? Because some of the individuals that we see in the org chart will be an agent. They won't be a human. And that's a huge change for people. How does leaders manage that? How do the people that look left and right, they see an agent sitting there? That's not that they would see him actually, but the agent's doing the same thing that they're doing, right? How do they come to the terms with that? And how can we do it in a healthy manner? And that's why there is not so much adoption, because there's so much fear still of losing your job, or I mean, when you said, well, what does the individual do? I know a lot of individuals that are utilizing AI, but they're not telling anyone that they're using AI to do half their job because they don't want to lose their job.
So what can be a way to mitigate this and communicate the right way? Because I mean, clearly jobs are going to be lost. There's no doubt about it. Some jobs are going to evolve, or people are going to move to more meaningful jobs, but definitely quite a few jobs are going to be lost. So what is the right way from the side of management to communicate the change towards more AI adoption in order to both stimulate the usage and at the same time, that they shouldn't be scared or worried, like mitigate the fears.
Absolutely. What I would say is, like, yes, jobs would be lost. People say, well, you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to someone that knows how to use AI, because there is going to be so many jobs created when you talk about all the safeguards and parameters in cybersecurity and regulation that you're going to have to now enforce by using it.
Right. They will evolve.
It will evolve, but it's a good conversation with your management. And you have to check the temperament of your management that you're working within. And, you might have some leader that is not progressive and is like, we're not using it. Or you might have a leader that is like, understands the power that will happen by utilizing AI and how this can enable the growth and value that the company is bringing and that their department is bringing, and will want to use it. And, depending on your leadership's temperament, is kind of going to help lead you. I talk about AI enablement a lot in large corporations. And what I recommend everyone to do is go to the top of the house of your department or your company or your business owner of the business. And if they understand the power of leveraging AI, which they must do to stay in business, then you would want them to come and to say to your entire population, your entire team, to say, it's okay, let's evolve together. And I support us evolving together. So bring me your use cases. Let's talk about how we can move and progress together. And if they say, yes, and when we build capacity, because maybe we're able to automate or do things faster, what are some of the things we should invest that capacity in that drive more value, that drive more customer experience, drive sales growth? Because those are the types of things that will allow your company to continue to compete in the market. And if you don't do that, then those that are doing that better than you, they're the ones that are going to win the race, and you don't want to find yourself out of business. So it's an evolution. It's a discussion. But everyone has to take action at all levels. Leaders, the people that report to the leaders, but bring it up, have the discussion, understand the temperament, and then determine where your parameters can be. If your boss is like, no way, no how, then individually you'll say, is that the company that I want to continue with? But maybe you then take more interest in developing your skills offline because you're not able to use them in your company. But I would not stop. I wouldn't stop. You have to continue to progress. It is changing so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm afraid of people going to college right now that are spending 4 to 6 years learning a domain or a career that is a knowledge-based
Completely out of
career.
yeah.
And by the time they graduate, that career
Yeah.
might not even exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How do you see though the split of pockets at the moment in terms of investment versus savings? There's a lot of sentiment in the market where there's recession, high inflation expected global, not only in the US, like globally, and so there are talks about tightening the pockets, so to say. And at the same time, though, they would need to invest in AI, in the transformation of their organization. So
Yeah, I mean,
how is this reconciled within leadership? What is the reason I'm asking is normally leadership, especially in large corporations and especially corporations that are publicly traded, um, should have a short-term outlook and they direct their decisions towards the market outlook, what's happening on the market. And right now, the signals are not fantastic. So yeah, they know they need to invest in AI, but at the same time, the outlook is not great. So their decision is kind of pulled on both sides of the carriage.
yeah, that's absolutely great question. What I would say is, some people have overinvested in AI and not gotten the return on investment, especially in a big company with deep pockets. And
Yeah.
so they put a lot of they bet on a big horse here that didn't, that's not running the race, because what big corporations are finding is that in order to drive some of that scalability, they're finding where their processes are disparaged. They don't have a process really well defined. They don't have data that is clean master data that can be put into, the automation or their knowledge management. For instance, let's just say you're going to utilize an agent that's going to help answer questions on behalf of the customer, on the behalf of maybe the help desk for the entire organization, so that you don't have a human doing that. They find that all of they don't have that put together in a knowledge management that the agent can you leverage to answer the questions. And therefore it needs to be developed. The data needs to be cleaned. The processes need to be documented so you can determine if you can utilize an agent to do the workflow of the process, but you can't do that unless it's documented. So a lot of people, big corporations, have put a lot of money in to find out that they can't scale because they didn't do those things to business ready themselves for artificial intelligence automation. Now I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you that every big corporation can leverage Gen AI for research, knowledge, grab, understanding strategic strategies, etc. But as soon as they start utilizing AI for, the research, the history, the parameters, then they go to find they want automation. And that's when they go to find they want automation. They know that they're not ready for automation. So big corporations shouldn't necessarily just throw a lot of money at AI, and maybe they can't as much as with all of the geopolitical, things happening in the world these days. You don't have to have big money. You can start small and build a pipeline of use cases. But I'm going to tell you, as you start to build those use cases, then you start to say, oh, shoot, we have to go clean our data first. Now, AI could help you clean your data faster, which is awesome, but you can't just jump to, agents unless you have a lot of those things, those parameters in place. And those take effort and time. And therefore, you just throw a whole bunch of money at something you can't use because you have to now go prepare for it. You have to maybe carve out your LLM, et cetera. So that's where people are, they should start smaller. They should build those use cases. They should take a pause. They should then get prepared, and then they can scale faster.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the aspect of time, and while AI and all kinds of solutions are developing with record-breaking speed, the transformation needed to clean up those databases and or organize your data may take, I don't know, half a year, a year. By that time, the company may have fallen way behind. What is there to be done in this situation? Is there anything they could do, or just do their best? And
No, I mean, again, that's why we need the literacy. because people will find themselves exactly in that position after they threw too much money at it and they recognize they can't scale it. And that's why it takes everyone in the corporation to become literate and infuse it into their organization. I mean, that's the risk. It's moving so fast. But when you said, well, it could take a half a year to a year. It shouldn't any longer. Now it used to, but what they should do is say, we want to do this. We want to do this agent. The agent has no knowledge management because our knowledge is spread across so many places. We need to get it together. How can AI help us get it all together? Maybe in that case, AI starts to take all new requests and you start building it on demand versus trying to pull it all together from all of its places. Maybe you pull 50% of it together and use an agent and start, so I think AI can accelerate what would have normally taken 6 months to a year to do data cleansing. For sure, AI could help you do data cleansing on bad data, like go through here and find every unpopulated, every non-normalized, piece of data so that we can clean it up. Go send an email out to everyone that needs to gather, maybe it's a supplier base and you don't have all the email addresses in your supplier base. Okay, great. Let's get an agent calling people, to pull in those email addresses so that we have them so that we can automate, more information to them in the future. So AI could accelerate the readiness as well.
Quick break. If you're looking for high growth opportunities or expert strategy support, let's talk. I'm involved in projects like a next-gen biofertilizer transforming agriculture, an aerial mapping drone that's 10 times faster than traditional tech, and AI-driven innovations disrupting industries. As a fractional chief strategy officer, I help businesses execute strategies and bring in top experts to get things done. Let's discuss your needs. Book a call at grownlearn.org. I know you're a proponent of women in leadership. You run women networks or something related to women networks. Am I correct?
Women in tech. I'm really, in a lot of communities of great women in tech. And in the AI space, women are underrepresented at 22% of women in AI. And the careers that women hold are more susceptible to being the careers that AI will take over. So they're more at risk than some of the careers that you normally would find male saturated. So I'm really trying to get out that information so that we can build communities of women that, bridge the gap that we see of representation of women in AI.
Mm-hmm. It seems though that the entire AI implementation story is taking a very, how should I say, technocratic masculine point of view, while until now we had a lot of women soft touch in terms of organizational development, culture, in terms of well-being, HR, mental health management, and so on. It seems that all of these topics are somehow losing footing right now. And recently, not so recently, but yeah, at the end of last year, I spoke to someone who specializes in implementation of AI solutions for organizational development. The majority of it is hiring, but also employee management. And we discussed about the danger of hiring entirely based on AI pre-specifications, because it takes historical data of who the successful employees were. But with the changing world, these specifications and KPIs that made the people successful are no longer valid. So we're missing on, potentially we would be missing if we were to implement hiring solely based on AI, those other needed skills, maybe more agility, maybe success mindset, maybe these skills that AI cannot grasp onto. So I'm not really sure what exactly I'm asking you, but how do you see this balance between so to say, the soft, or they're not soft, they're now proven, the neurological relationship-based success factors, mainly carried by women in organizations, and the very logical masculine part of AI now so forcefully invading. I'm not saying it in a bad
Absolutely.
way, just to describe the dynamics.
Absolutely. And what I will tell you that we have to recognize, and you brought it up so beautifully, is that as a, even in hiring practices, if you think about the LLMs, as they're getting a majority of their information from historical, and think of, we've been fighting for equality across so many different diverse groups for a very long time. For a very long time, we're still not there. We're not there yet, right? So that's what the LLMs have learned, is that bias and inequality that they had, that were the inputs for what they are then responding to. So they're responding with a bias. And when you utilize AI for hiring, you can't do that because of, it's going to have a bias. We have to reteach the LLMs to remove the bias, And that will not happen overnight. That normally is not going to happen from those groups that are in the majority. And so when, for instance, women, there's other diverse groups that are underrepresented in AI. But if you're trying to re-engineer the LLMs to understand the bias and remove it, because you have to reteach it, if you have less of those diverse groups working in LMs, like 22% of women in AI, then you're going to even fall, the gap is going to continue, the bias is going to continue at either greater speed.
Yeah. And yet I know that a lot of hiring agencies working with large corporations already utilize AI models to at least screen the initial screening, which already is quite a significant cut from the potential applicants.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we really have to talk about the human aspect and how we were going to utilize the skills. You mentioned the skills of the future, and so you can get the domain knowledge, and about any market that you hope to go into, but we really have to now think about new skills. So when I talk and I hire leaders, I'm looking for leaders that have change management skills, because things are changing so fast. They might be the best supply chain learned individual, but if they can't take supply chain and change management together, then you're not going to be able to transform with technology and people. So the people aspect is exasperated now, larger and magnified as a consideration for how you move forward with anything, because you have to take people through change because things are changing so fast. So that's just one example of new skills of the future and it's not that there's not, communication, change, and education individuals, and that has grown over the past decade, but we will need more of that than ever now. That will be, again, one of something that we'll have to see expand as a career for people, because there will be, there'll be the need because we're infusing so much change on humans today.
Mm-hmm.
So a good supply chain professional is not going to be as good as a supply chain professional that understands how to influence and take people through change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We mentioned at the beginning of the conversation that we're going to be speaking about specificities in regions, not necessarily regulations, but if there's any special considerations for companies operating in Europe versus the US, or any other regional considerations. Are you aware of these? Anything that you paid?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say that the regulations are moving at different paces, right? You're going to see Europe in the forefront of regulation and putting parameters in place. And if you're in the global market running a business, will need to understand all of what's happening and how it will affect your business, because you won't be able to do maybe as much where you see, regions that are a little bit more rigid, such as Europe, but then you're going to see those that are a little bit more open and are not yet there yet with regulation. And then we're seeing some really nice language models coming from Asia that have been built, and in how do you put safety parameters around leveraging LLMs across the regions, and what are
You're
the
referring to
risk
DeepSeek
safeguards?
or other?
Yeah, DeepSeek.
Yeah.
So you have to think about that, because that was an astronomically beautiful implementation of DeepSeek. And what does that now mean? And so if everyone veers over there, then what are they building, from the people that are, from the knowledge of the people that are taking advantage of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting race. It's definitely something, if you're in the business world, to really, really watch that regulation, and because any one change in that regulation can disrupt your projections, your forecast, what you expected to happen from a business growth perspective.
Yeah. What do you see as a major concern of your clients? The first thing that they have as a concern regarding AI implementation or non-implementation, whatever they're considering.
Oh, it's so crazy because it's so personal to everyone. And it all depends again on their temperament and tolerance of risk. And everyone sees this more so as a risk, but there is so much AI for good. And there is those horror stories, right? The AI for bad. And you just have to balance them both and say, how can I do that personally and professionally the best way possible? And that's all you can do is your best. But that's why I'm, advocating for so many people to get involved, because if you are like, not for me right now, then you're just gonna fall behind, and it's gonna have adverse effects for you personally and professionally. Like, I'm seeing we're in a great layoff across the globe. Lots of jobs are being lost, inflation, tariffs, all sorts of things are happening. And you will want to understand how you can, continue to have prosperity, earn an income, earn a living, and then also how to deal with all that stress. And what people also don't understand is that AI can help you with that stress, right? I mean, as a working mom of 3 daughters, I utilize AI in my personal life as much as I use it in my business life to help me reduce stress, to help me understand what I'm going to make for dinner when by taking a picture of my refrigerator and saying, with the ingredients you see, what can I make for dinner tonight? And I think people should also consider that aspect, the personal aspect, and what they can do, to help maintain their sanity, and in this crazy life that we live.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, a friend of mine told me that they're very good solutions now, already implemented. Can't tell you the name, that act as psychologists, as confidantes. So it's what used to be in the futuristic movies is already a fact, and people are conversing with their digital psychologist already.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't know how many times in a disagreement with my daughter, I was like, how could I have handled that better? Here's my situation. What can I now do to rebuild the trust, or et cetera? And I'm just getting great advice from it immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So AI can be everything to you. It can be your tax accountant. It can be your therapist. It can be your personal coach, your business coach, your life coach, your strategic partner, your co-pilot. I could go on and on. It can do all of those things. And there's a lot of benefits to it, but there are also risks that everyone should be also aware of.
Yeah. How can you personally help businesses that are seeking AI advice and transforming their organizations? What do you do for?
I mean, I'm all around business optimization. All depends on what they're looking to accomplish. Are they looking to accomplish like sales growth? Or are they looking to become more fit in their process so that they can run at a lower cost? So it's either an efficiency play, a more effectiveness play, or driving a better experience for our customers. Usually one of those three. AI can do all of them. It's just a matter of what is their objective, their goal at that time that's going to drive the value for them that they want to see. Maybe their customers are unhappy. Maybe they want growth. And I like to come into companies and look at the processes that they, or depending on their strategic intent on what they think AI can do for them, and ask them a lot of probing questions so that we can say, what is the best where to start? Because you can't just come in and just take AI across every single one. You have to build the individuals within the company that know it really well, that know the company well, to say, let's determine what AI means in your HR department. Let's determine how we bring it into your sales department, your marketing department, your purchasing department. And it means something different for everyone, but where do we start? And then how do we get the individuals within that company really competent and confident with leveraging AI and then create that roadmap together. So that's what I do with those that I consult.
Nicole Hilgenkamp, great conversation. Where can people get a hold of you?
I'm only on LinkedIn. And it's Nicole, Nicole, last name Hilgenkamp, the only one on LinkedIn with that name. I would love to connect and continue the conversation there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Very insightful conversation. I enjoyed it and great insights. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Go enable yourself, get on a newsletter, get into a community, and continue to grow with AI. Thank you, Zorina.
Thank you for listening to Grow and Learn. We hope that you found our podcast informative, engaging, and inspiring. Our mission is to help you keep growing and learning, and we hope that our conversations and insights have provided you with practical advice and useful perspectives. If you're looking for personalized support and guidance to help you achieve your personal or professional growth objectives, I offer a range of services to help. As a trusted management partner and mentor, I work with businesses in the process of transformation, looking for new streams of business as well as M&A. With an extensive professional network of experts and mentors, I can bring on board the right person or team based on the specific needs of the company I'm working with. To learn more about the services I offer and how I can help you achieve your goals, please visit my website at grownlearn.org. You can also reach out to me via email or social media. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode of Grow and Learn, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us, and it helps us to continue to create content that is relevant and valuable to our listeners. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights and perspectives with you in the future.